chapter 1 to 4 is about refinancing, getting that liquid cash and investing probably in real estate. But chapter 5 starts with something different.
Correct. Chapter 5 is the story about art. How COVID got me. COVID changed my life, and it really did a number on me. But I do want to say the year of 2021 will be a year that we just never forget.
That's going to be part 2. Real Talk with Star Scorpio, Season 8. I was introduced to my guest today from a friend of mine, Louis Demopoulos. Louis was on my podcast sharing his journey when he was diagnosed with cancer. The struggles, the fight, and the will to live is what Louis talked about on the podcast. He told me about 2 of his close friends, Jenny and Arthur. I had a conversation with both of them. And then I realized why Louis said, hey, you got to have Arthur on your podcast. And then after I spoke to him, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Arthur has a lot of stories. This is going to be part 1 of a part 2 conversation with Art. And I'm calling this The Will to Live. Let's get into the timeline. Arthur, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And all right, good to have you here. Thanks for doing this. And shout out to Jenny too. You know what I mean? Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Art, on Real Talk, we like to build a timeline. Your timeline is a little bit different too, though. But what I want to know first is, where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Toronto, brought up, born in the Avenue Road in Lawrence area. And then we moved at a young age, moved out to, we like to call it the North York Scarborough border.
Okay.
And the inside joke there is obviously my wife today, Jen, she was on the Scarborough side and I was on the North York side. But everybody wanted to be part of Scarborough, so I guess I had to stick with the Scarborough area there. And we went to Sir John A. Macdonald, which is in Scarborough as well. And yeah, we just grew up a Scarbarian, we'll call us.
Yeah. Okay. So for anyone that's listening from Toronto and Scarborough, you guys, everybody knows that area, right? So I just grew up like down the street from you too, right? I didn't know Avenue Road in Lawrence and you came up this way, but that's cool. But I was at Victoria Park in Ellesmere near Parkway Mall. And I know where you were because you went to John A. Macdonald, and we know the Johnny's Hamburger is the famous hamburger joint, man.
Of course.
You can't beat it, eh?
People go out of their way to get to Johnny's.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, Art, it's not the same, man. I remember when you go in, man, and you order, and all the old guys were in the back, you know what I mean? Making the food. Man, it's changed. It's changed.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. Did you used to go to the clubs and go to Johnny's after? That's what people did, you know?
All the time. Yeah. That was a staple. It was a staple. Right after the clubs, you would head over to the Johnny's and have your burger for sure.
Yeah. Yo, so you went to John A. Macdonald. And what's your background?
So my mom is Greek. And my father, who recently passed away, it's been a couple months. He was Armenian. But he passed away at 100 years old. My old man made it to 100.
Wow.
So it was a celebration for sure. So I'm half Greek, half Armenian.
Sorry to hear about that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we suffer a lot of loss, man. We suffer, especially around these ages, you know, because you could say your age too. We're around the same age, right?
Yeah, I'm 49.
Yeah, 49. I'm turning 50 in November. And yeah, all the aunts and uncles, man, that, you know, we get to that age too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But like I said, he made it to 100. A lot of people can't say their father made it to 100. So it was a celebration for sure. But it's definitely sad days for sure going forward.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 older brothers.
Oh, 2 older brothers. Oh,
yeah. I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Did you all go to John A. McDonald? Everyone went to the same school?
No, we didn't. My other brother went to George S. Henry.
Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah, he went to Henry, and then my other brother finished at Lawrence Park.
Oh, Lawrence Park. Oh, isn't that far? Isn't that far then?
It's by the Avenue Road, Lawrence area, right?
But oh, okay. Yeah.
That's where
Oh,
he's that much older than me.
he's that. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
for
so your
sure.
other brother went to George S. So yeah, we're really in the circle, man. You know what I call that circle? Where I live, Parkwoods, Parkway Mall. Then you
Yeah,
go out, you got Victoria Park, George S. Henry, the schools, right? John A.
of
McDonald,
course.
that big circle, man. Did you go to Fairview as a kid back in the days a lot?
My first few jobs were at Fairview Mall,
Get
so
out of here.
we worked at Fairview Mall, stores that we can all laugh about today.
Yeah.
But we worked there, and yeah, we spent a lot of time at Fairview. And my dad was a staple at Fairview Mall. Sit
Really?
there with coffee and his scratch cards, and he would be there every single day. Everybody knew my father.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. You see how
yeah.
the malls changed though?
Of course,
Not the
come.
same, man.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
definitely not. It's gonna change even more
Oh, of course,
going
man.
forward for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo, back to school now. What were you good in school, man? What did you excel in? What did you like?
that's a tough question. Listen, you know what? I was a social butterfly, is what I was.
Okay.
Did we finished school? We did well in school, but it was more about connecting with friends, and it was the best memories.
Mm.
We played football. We played football in
Oh,
the junior year,
yeah.
and that year that I played junior, the seniors actually won the Metro Bowl. Like we went all the way. So
Mm.
for us, that was an amazing time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To go all the way in the parties and the fans and the crowds with traveling to the stadiums. It was just a surreal thing, and that's where we made a lot of friends. Right?
Yeah.
You make friends along the way, and with some we're still friends today.
Yeah, man. That's amazing. Social media brought us back together. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're the
Absolutely.
same age. You know how it is, right? Public school,
Yeah.
junior high. Sometimes you lose touch with people. And then what
Yeah.
do you know? Facebook comes around, all this Instagram and reconnecting. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, could I call you a Gino back in the days? Were you a Gino?
So as we go forward, you're gonna understand how much of a Gino I was.
Oh my
Definitely.
God.
Stories
Okay.
are gonna start now, but trust me on that.
Yes. Okay. So now I got a little history of your life. You went to school with Louis too, right? Did you know Louis in?
Louis a little bit younger than I,
Oh, he's a young. Okay.
but we did cross paths in high school there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So subjects though, because I want to know post-secondary, what did you like subject-wise in school? Was it the English, the math, or were you like me with the gym, man, phys ed?
Listen, I was really into more of the
Hmm.
drama class,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a mechanic. So our
Oh,
mechanics classes were it's where everybody would come and hang out because that's where we were most of the time.
yeah.
So everybody wanted to be a mechanic back then, and we were all fixing our cars. And uh, as you said, the Genos would bring their Mustangs to school, and
Yes.
we would do oil changes and all the fun stuff that we could do in schools. And that's
Mhm.
pretty much where it all began for us. And as we go forward, you'll see that Jenny, my wife today,
Yeah.
would hang out in the auto class,
Oh,
and now it makes
wow.
sense why she would hang out there
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up
yeah.
because Jenny also went to John A, and that's where you met Jenny as well. Okay. Yo, one thing you said about the mechanics, I don't know if they have that anymore, but that was such a beneficial class because we had it in Vic Park too. I never took it, but I remember the guys taking the class.
Listen, I was doing my own work on my own cars, like oil changes, like the simple stuff,
Yeah.
not the big stuff. And without that class, I wouldn't have known how to do that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it was definitely beneficial to have that course. But today, you're right. I don't think they have it anymore.
Oh man, it was so, and we had home ec. We had to cook and all that. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to post-secondary? Did you know what you wanted to do after high school?
I did,
Hmm.
and I did go. I thought I was an entrepreneur right
Okay.
from the get-go, right
Hmm.
from the beginning. I was an entrepreneur. I always thought about business.
Hmm.
And what happened was I thought because we live in this great city of Toronto, the winters are cold and the summers are hot. And what I thought would be amazing as an entrepreneur, thinking as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
I got into the heating and air conditioning and refrigeration.
Okay. Hmm.
So I thought this would be great. You know, winter time, I'm going to be busy. Summertime, I'll be busy. People need their AC. People need their heat.
Hmm.
I did a year of that, and it didn't sit well. I didn't like it. It
Hmm.
wasn't who I was. I was more of a salesman. I'll call myself.
Yeah.
I love to sell. I love to talk. I wasn't a hands-on guy that wanted to fix AC units and stuff like that.
Different from
So
cars then, right? Cars were a
correct,
different thing, right? Yeah.
correct.
Hmm.
But I gave it a try. I gave it a shot, and unfortunately, it didn't work. And at the time, what happened is my brother had opened up a little food kiosk in a shopping mall,
Okay.
and he wanted to get out of it. So I said to my dad, "Let me get your money back. Let me get your money back, and I'll take over the restaurant for my brother." And that was it. So I
Hmm.
ended up getting into the restaurant business, and I ran that for a few years.
Wait,
Uh,
how old were you at the time?
19,
Oh my
20.
God. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I love the restaurant business. I love being in it because my previous jobs during high school, I
Hmm.
also worked in the restaurant business. I
Okay.
worked. I
Wait.
worked.
So wait. Let's keep this for a minute. I just want to know a couple of the places you worked at in Fairview then, because then you're talking about before 19. Because I went to Fairview. I must have seen you, you know what I mean? But tell me where you worked in Fairview.
So I'm not proud of this one, but I
Mm.
worked at Petrocelli, which was a clothing store,
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
which was in competition, I guess, with Le Chateau back then.
Yeah.
Um, and I ended up working in the clothing business. So during high school, I worked at Petrocelli,
Yeah.
uh, Le Chateau,
Yeah.
uh, and then I guess the big one at Ferry Mall was it was called Athletes World back in the
Oh,
day.
yeah. Hmm.
A good friend of mine who was the manager at the time said, "Art, can you come and help us out for Christmas, the
Mm.
Christmas rush?"
Yeah.
And I did. I went out for that just the month of December,
Mm.
and I shattered all the sales goals you can imagine.
Yeah.
So all these kids that were working there, including myself, they're saying, "Who's this kid that comes along and in a month gets all the awards?" I got a TV that month. I got a DVD player or a VHS player back then,
Yeah.
and because I hit the sales marks, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it worked. So those were the jobs pretty much in Fairview Mall. Then I worked at Blueberry Hill, which was a hamburger joint,
Oh,
um,
God. Yeah.
just at uh, Consumers Road in Shepherd there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
but my first job, if we can
Yeah.
go all the way back, um, was Tim Horton Donuts. My uncle owned the one on Shepherd,
What?
Shepherd in the 404 there. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
and it was my first job, and he taught me a lot. I can honestly say he's no longer with us today, but
Mm.
he definitely showed me what work was all about, and
Yeah.
that's where we got all the work ethics from.
Okay. So now you see, you told an important thing there, man. You just said it too, work ethic too. And you got to understand business. So this is why I want to go back first. So now you told me about your jobs at Fairview and the different things. Now I know about Tim Hortons. Now I can understand. Now you're 19 and you said, let me make that money back. So continue that story about the restaurant business now.
Yeah, we got into the mall. It was called Lawrence Square. It's at Allen Road and Lawrence.
I know it.
Um, friends of the family had built the mall, and they gave my brother and his partner an opportunity to have a lease in there. Two young guys starting out a business, and going forward, I was given the opportunity to take it over from my brother,
Mhm.
and it was like I just wanted to get my dad's money back. Is what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I did what I had to do as a son.
Hmm.
I got back his money, and I closed down. I closed down the shop right, pretty much at that point. It wasn't. I didn't see a future in that mall.
Hmm.
Uh, so we said, you know what, time to move on, and then went into everything else that I did
Yeah,
going
which
forward.
we're gonna talk about.
For sure.
Yo, but that's kind of cool. That's inspiring. So, do you think that because of your dad and your uncle and having older brothers, is that what kind of put that drive in you? Did you have that innately, or because of who you grew up with, you were like, I see the game, of life.
Do you know what? I saw my dad work because I used to go to work with my dad as a kid as well.
Yeah.
My dad was in the flooring business, and I saw how hard he worked,
Mm,
and he worked extremely hard. And when I look back, he worked for nothing. He
mm,
didn't work for it wasn't about the money. It was
yeah.
about putting food on the table for three kids and his wife. So you definitely absorb all that. You take that all in, and you learn a lot.
Mm,
Definitely, you learn a lot from your dad, right? And then, yeah, my uh, going back to my uncle at Tim Hortons, he was very hard on us.
yeah.
Not just me, all the employees in there. He was just that kind of guy. But you look back and say, you know what? Um, I hope I can instill that in my kids. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Make them show them appreciate the value of a dollar because he made me work.
yeah.
Um, but it was definitely a learning experience all the way through.
Mm.
Yeah,
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that so far. Okay,
sure.
now, Arthur, what came next? Because I gotta let the people that listen know. Some people know you in your life, so they know, right? But my audience might not know some of the things that you've done over time. So you're 19. Did it take you to age 20? Like, were you in your 20s now before you closed it down?
Oh, I was there for almost 5 6 years.
Right. So
It
now
was
you're mid 20s. What
yeah.
came next career wise?
So we could probably do a separate podcast for all the jobs that I've had.
Mm,
Okay, that's
mm.
the resume is my resume would be a book itself.
Okay.
That's how many jobs we've had. But from there, we got into the telecommunication business. Back then, pagers were big.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Pagers were huge,
I remember
and
that.
we were selling pagers. Um, and if I can go back just a little bit,
Yeah.
during high school, I had a partner in the DJ business. My partner and I started DJing at 16 years old.
Mm,
My partner, his name is Harry K.
mm.
Um, he went by Special K, and I went by DJ Art Attack.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
we were DJing all these years. We started out doing little house parties
Mm,
for free. We weren't even charging people. We were doing house parties at their houses, and we created a name for ourselves.
yeah.
And I ended up DJing going forward. Him and I, we ended up getting into the wedding business.
Mm,
Um, and the reason I'm bringing back the DJ, starting off with the DJ, is because when I was in the paging business, my boss at the time, he saw that I was driving to London, Ontario
yeah.
to DJ. I was a frat DJ. I would DJ frat parties, and for 2 years we lived in London, just frats. So you know how in a frat house there's a president, vice president, and the treasurer that can only live in a frat house.
Okay.
Somehow they made a bedroom for the DJ as the fourth person in that frat house. So I lived in a frat house for 4 years as a DJ, and my
Yeah.
boss in the telecommunication business saw that I was driving back and forth to London to come back to work, to drive back to London during the week to go DJ and come back to work again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was you could see it was a passion.
Mm,
DJing was not a business for us; it was a passion because
mm.
we would go out literally. This is you're gonna think I'm crazy. We'd go out for like $300. We'd
Wow.
we probably wasted more money on
Gas.
gas and food,
Yeah.
but it was a passion, so we enjoyed it. Uh, my boss saw that we were doing that, so he goes, "Why don't I just get you a place in London, and I'll open up a paging store in London for you,
Okay.
so I can run it, work there, wouldn't have to commute back and forth because I was DJing." And that was a very short stint because of the type of business. It had closed down pretty quick after that.
Yeah.
So that's the little bit of the DJ career, and I'm sure we'll go forward. We'll talk about a little bit more of the DJing career. And then after telecommunications, we got into financial planning. I was an assistant to a financial planner.
Hmm.
Learned as much as I could there. I had no intentions of being a financial advisor in any sense. Just
Hmm.
I learned the basics for myself, sort of thing. Um, and then while I was doing the financial planning, um, I was studying for my real estate. It started out as more of a joke to start me out
Yeah.
because my friend, who's my partner today and one of my best friends, says to me, he goes, Art, why don't we go do our real estate license together? And I
Yeah.
said, no, I can never do it.
Yeah.
And he goes, Art, you always say you can't do it, you can't do it. And I don't. I think it was a bet. We made a bet, and I lost the bet. And
Hmm.
if I lost the bet, I'd have to go to real estate school with him. And it was probably the best bet I've ever lost in my life.
Wow. Yeah. You didn't
Um,
have that intention to do real estate, Del. Oh,
no,
wow. Because we know that paid off. A little later, we'll talk about that. But
for sure, for
mhm.
sure. But yeah, that's with the real estate career, that's where we are today.
Yeah.
Moving forward, and it's a blessing going forward. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride.
And you threw in the DJ thing that I didn't know about, but I think I did see a post. So are you still doing it today too? Or do you have something like a partner
So
doing it for you or you're part of it?
So I still dabble in it. I can't say I do it.
Mhm.
I did it for 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years, and it was the most promising job I can honestly say I had.
Yeah.
Opened up many doors for me.
Mhm.
I met a lot of people in the DJ world that really became friends,
Mhm.
uh, and then it became a business. The
Mhm.
DJ business, um, and yeah, it was just an
Yeah.
amazing run with DJing. Now I don't do it on a full time basis, but as a lot of people know, there's a lot of DJs out there. When it's in your blood, it's
Yeah.
in your blood. And I
Yeah.
wanted to put that. I wanted to instill it in my kids. See if
Mm.
my kids wanted to DJ because I still have all the equipment. I still have the music. I still have everything for them to start that business.
Yeah.
And I say to my oldest son, I go, "There's no other job that you'll ever get, that you'll ever have, where you're gonna have fun. You're gonna eat like a king because you're DJing these weddings
The
and you're eating with
weddings.
girls, and you're looking at beautiful people
Mm.
having a good time."
Yeah.
And no negative part about DJing. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? It was just an amazing thing where I wanted my kids to maybe run with it, but my kids have no interest in anything I've ever done in the past. So I leave it to them. I want them to choose their destiny,
Of
and
course.
I know they'll do the right thing.
Yeah. Hey, you touched on something. It's easy, but back in the days, you started with the crates then. If we're talking 16, you had the crates of records. Like I know a lot of DJs that have the crates still. They have over probably 2,000 albums, but you still have the albums from back in the days and everything.
So you know, a lot of spouses how they argue and fight,
Yeah.
have arguments. Everyone has arguments.
Mm.
I can honestly say the only argument I have with Jen
Mm.
is my records in the garage,
Okay. Okay.
and she can't park a car
Yeah.
in the garage because of my records. So just recently, I'm
Mm.
being honest with you. Last week, I
Yeah.
rented a storage unit just to get my records out,
Yeah.
and I counted 32 crates.
Wow.
So I got 32 crates, and I want to say I'm sure there's other DJs out there that can probably say this as well,
Mm.
but I probably have one of the best freestyle Geno music crates in the city because I kept them all. I didn't get rid of nothing.
Holy jeez.
Yeah,
The Gino. We've been talking about the Gino, man. The Gino
yeah.
days, man. Okay. At this point in the interview, I need to ask you a question that I always ask my guests now. It's a would you rather question. And then I'm gonna want to touch on some of the things that you're doing now. Because when we talked, I heard stories about Magic for Shaq. I've heard stories about Dwayne Wade. I've heard stories about David Copperfield. I need to hear these stories in length now. But let me do this first, Art. Would you rather visit your younger self and give them advice for the future, or would you rather visit your older self and have them give you advice for what's going on right now?
I'd visit my younger self and
Mm,
give me advice
mm. And why?
for today.
Why?
Uh, it would prepare us for this future. Now
Mm,
the world is changing. We all know that everything changes and it's changing in a fast pace. But if I could tell my younger self, you know what, be prepared for this and that, um, I think the future would have looked a little bit brighter.
mm.
Not that not that I have any negative thoughts about where we are today.
Yeah,
We're blessed just to be here today, but it's definitely something I wouldn't mind preparing my younger self for.
yeah. I hear it a lot, man. And it's funny, some of the people that I interview, the ones that choose younger self, sometimes it's because, maybe they took the wrong path in their life, whether it be for love or money, and they would want to give advice to the younger self, you know what I mean? And then I notice some people that choose older self, they got a lot of drive and they're doing something right now. And they want advice from that older self to say, hey, this is how you get to where you want to be. You know what I mean? It's just an interesting question. Okay. Now, whether my guest chose the younger or older self, this question, there's four questions here, and it's about your younger self. What would you tell your younger self about money?
Save as much as you can.
What would you tell your younger self about family?
Family comes first, and family is everything.
What would you tell your younger self about friends?
Keep keep the good ones keep the good ones close, because good friends, uh, the good friends I have, I consider them family as well.
Mm, I hear that a lot too. And lastly, what would you tell your younger self about love?
It's a question that a lot of people will know me. Uh, I've been with Jen since we are 16 years old, 17 years old.
Mm,
So for me, it was very early, but I think I found the right partner. So it's something where I got lucky, I guess we'll call it. I got lucky, and love came to me early, and I've been extremely, extremely blessed with it,
mm.
with my partner.
Yo, thanks for sharing that. All right, you got through the would you rather. Now, Art, let me know. We were talking on the phone, and I got excited about some of the things you were telling me, man. I don't know how we're gonna drop this, man, but you do magic, right? When did you start magic? And it's crazy. I seen a magician when I was on a fundraiser with the fundraiser warriors parents. They're one of the donations that I give, right? To the little boys that raise money for sick kids. And there's a magician there, and he made someone levitate in front of us. And he put a hoop through them. And I'm like, how do you do this? It's in front of my eyes. I'm like, how do you do this? But you can't give away any secrets. You're a magician. But when did this start? That's what I want to know.
So we'll go from the beginning. We'll go right from the start. How I got involved in it.
Yeah.
As a DJ, I wanted to be different. I wanted to be a different DJ, because every DJ can play music. Every DJ can talk on a microphone. But I came up with an idea. Are you familiar with the purple dinosaur, Barney?
No.
You don't know Barney? The kids,
Oh, sorry. I thought you said something else. Oh,
Barney,
Barney. Yes, I know
Barney,
Barney.
Barney.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I I purchased the Barney costume
Mm,
to walk in the flower girl and the ring boy into a wedding. That
okay.
was part of my stick. That was my gimmick, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was different. I can honestly say I was one of the first to do it in the city, where Barney would walk in the flower girls and the ring boys, and it was amazing because I would introduce, ladies and gentlemen, now we have our flower girl and our ring boy and their best friend Barney, and we play the
Yeah.
Barney tune. It'd come
Yeah.
in. It got me a lot of weddings. got me a lot of
Wow.
weddings, believe it or not, because it was different, and that's what
Yeah.
everybody was looking for in the wedding scene.
Yeah.
They wanted to be different. They didn't want their weddings to be the same.
Mm.
So it worked out well in that sense. But then moms were coming up to me at weddings and saying, "Can you come to my house for my kid's birthday party?"
Okay.
Uh, and I'm 17, 18 years old at this point. I'm a young DJ, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I never thought of it as a business. And I said, yeah, I can definitely come to your house, but I had to make them realize that I can only stay in this suit for 10 minutes before I pass out because that's how hot it
It was
was.
hot. Yeah.
And I said, you know what? It's $150 for 10 minutes. And they said, no problem, because the purple dinosaur, Barney, was the biggest thing in the
Mm.
city at that point.
Mm.
It was a craze.
Mm.
And it turned out I was doing about um, six, 6 or 7 parties a day on a
I,
Saturday and Sunday. So I was doing 10 to 12 parties on a weekend at
yeah.
$150 a pop for 10 minutes. It was a good rush, a
Yeah.
good uh, a good income stream and a good rush for that age, especially, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't like the fact that Barney for 10 minutes would only sit in a living room and do nothing. I would just like hold the kids' hands, play some music, and leave. So I went to a magic shop in the
Mm.
city, and I said, you know what? I need a magic trick that I can do with some big gloves.
Mm.
I bought the linking rings. I don't know if you ever seen the rings that link together. And
Yes. Yeah.
uh, but so I went to my first Barney show with the linking rings. But kids are more obsessed with a 7 foot dinosaur in their living room
Yeah.
than magic. They
Mm.
couldn't care less about the magic. There was
Mhm.
a 7 foot dinosaur in their living room. But it's something called the magic bug that I got. And even though the kids didn't want the magic, um, I wanted to continue magic. And here we are, literally 30 years later, still doing magic because it became my passion. Anywhere I go, anywhere you see Art on the street,
Yeah.
he's got a trick in his up his sleeve.
Yo,
You know,
I
very
love
cool.
it. Yeah.
But talking about how DJing opened doors,
Mm.
I can honestly say magic uh, opened up that many more doors
Mm.
for me because it was a great icebreaker. It was great just to do magic for people. I love entertaining,
Yeah.
and what better way to do it than magic, right?
Yeah. So true. You know what? Since we're the same age, we grew up on the same magician that was just rocking the stations back in the days. David Copperfield. He was the only before David Blaine
Of
and the
course.
other guy, man. I forgot the other Chris Angel, I think is, and all these other magicians now. But
Yeah.
we grew up on David Copperfield, and some kids at that time probably got that real spark. Just like if you're a DJ, you hear someone DJ here, and then you get into that industry, you hear a comedian. Like that's how I got into stand up because Eddie Murphy. I was like,
Right.
I love this, and I like making people laugh. For you, was it David Copperfield too that back in the days probably said, you know what, I like this, I like Copperfield, and it was like a journey for you?
Before I got into magic myself,
Mhm.
I was watching David Copperfield, and my dad was recording the shows on VHS tapes
Yeah,
just in case I missed it, so I
yeah.
could watch them over again. So magic, I guess I can say, was part of my whole life because my parents loved watching it too, right?
Mhm.
When we're talking the days that Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty
Oh
disappear,
my God.
these are way days before I started magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can honestly say today's magicians have taken it to the next level,
Mhm.
which is not surprising. It's what they needed to do in order to keep in the business.
Yeah.
But David Copperfield, I think, paved the way for everybody.
Yeah. And now, tell me now, how did you meet him? How did that happen? You met David Copperfield.
I met David Copperfield. So, as you know, Jenny is my partner, my wife. Uh, she's not the biggest magic fan anymore
Yeah. Okay.
because people invite me to a party
Mhm.
just for my magic, not because they want Art and Jen there. So they want the magic, and I get it. That's fine. I'm there for that. We made a lot of friends in this going along with it, and so Jenny didn't really She sees my magic. She doesn't know how I do any of my tricks, but she's going, "Oh, there goes Art again." You know, I lost him for another couple hours
Yeah.
at any party, right?
Mm.
So one day I saw a Heart and Stroke Foundation auction,
Okay.
and I said to Jen, "Hey, Jen, I want to go to this auction. It's on the bridle path." So she thought I wanted to go show her a beautiful home on the bridle path.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was a fundraiser. It was a fundraiser. So I said, Jen, you know what? Let's go. Let's go see what we can buy. Maybe a silent auction. Now I knew what the grand prize was,
Mm.
and the grand prize was two plane tickets to fly to Vegas to see David Copperfield's show, sitting in his parents' booth, which is right in front of the stage, because that's where
Yeah.
his parents, when they were alive, his parents would sit in that booth.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a meet and greet right after the show. Go backstage, meet David Copperfield, and then they would drive me to his 80,000 square foot warehouse where he kept and stored all his magic. So, as a magician at this point, I wanted to see this warehouse. I really didn't care about the magic show because
Yeah.
I've seen David Copperfield 9 times before that show. So, I've
Hmm.
already seen his show. I already know his shows,
Yeah.
but I wanted to see this warehouse. And we made it. We made it to Vegas. Now, sorry, we won the auction.
Yeah.
I should go back there
Yeah.
because
Go ahead.
when we went to the bridal path home where this Heart and Stroke Foundation auction was happening, she saw the grand prize. She knew exactly why I was there. She knew I wasn't there to see a house. She goes, Art, don't be crazy. Don't be crazy and overspend on this one.
Yeah.
I go, Jen, whatever it takes, you know I'm gonna win this.
Mm.
Um, and I won it. I won it. I'd rather not disclose what I paid for it online here,
Yeah.
because Jenny might watch this video one day. Uh, but yeah, we won it. It was probably the greatest thing. I was the happiest guy in the world. Jenny did not come with me, believe it or not. Jenny did
Yeah.
not come with me to Vegas. I took a friend of mine. We went down and we saw the show. They greeted me at the airport. Sorry, they greeted me at the airport. So
Yeah.
Copperfield people were there. Took a limo right to the MGM Grand, and the show was the next evening. We went to the show, and I went backstage, and I actually made it on stage during Copperfield's show, and that was just coincidental. That wasn't part of the whole thing that I won.
Hmm.
I just he picked some audience members, and it turns out I was one of those
You were
audience.
picked.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I've never been picked in Toronto. The 9 shows that I went to before, I've never been picked.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing experience for me. And then I went backstage and I went put out my hand and I said, "Hi, Mr. Copperfield." He goes, "It's David." I go, "Pleasure to meet you, David." And he
Yeah.
goes, "You know what? We'll chat back at the warehouse."
Oh,
So I said,
wow.
"Okay, let's go
Yeah.
back to the warehouse and we'll chat." And they had a limo waiting for me outside at the back of the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
And we got into the limo and we went to his warehouse.
Mm.
And the magic started from the moment David Copperfield greeted us right at the front of his door. That's where the
Yeah.
magic began. Uh, I mean, when I say magic, actual tricks that he
Yeah.
did when we walked into his place.
Wow.
Uh, it's I can tell you the whole extreme story. It could take us forever to tell you this story, but
Yeah.
I'll get to the main parts of the whole warehouse experience. I thought it was going to be his people
Mm.
walking me around, showing me some magic, but it was actually David Copperfield that walked me around from 1 o'clock in the morning, and we finished at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Holy cow.
We walked around, and not once did I ever ask him, "How did you do this trick? How did
Yeah.
you do this?"
Yeah.
So I think he respected the fact that he didn't know I was a magician. I
I was
never
gonna
brought it up.
I was gonna ask you that. He didn't know.
Never brought it up. Never brought it up. I just said, you know what? I never asked him how to do these tricks. So he kind of, I guess he understood that I wasn't that guy that wanted to know how to do these tricks.
Mm.
But I think what had caught his attention was there was a magic trick that I said to David. I go, "David, how come you don't do this trick anymore?
Mm.
You put it on the shelf. It's gone." He goes, "Wow, you must watch my shows." And I said, "Absolutely, David. I go, I know all your tricks."
Mm.
And so I guess that's when he figured, okay, this guy knows something about magic.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Arthur, once when somebody kind of, I don't want to say knocks off my magic trick or duplicates it.
Mhm.
He goes, I don't do it anymore. I put it on the shelf and let them run with it.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's when I say he paved the way for these magicians.
Yeah.
His ideas, these guys now today are just taking his ideas and running with it.
Another level. Yeah.
Yeah. So he really appreciated all that. And at the end of the excursion, David comes up to me and goes, "Don't you want a picture with me?" Like he asked me
Yeah.
if I want a picture, but I'm not the type of guy that, I'm not going to run up to him with my cell phone and start taking pictures with him. So I guess he really appreciated that. And I said, David, I'd love a picture. I don't know if you can see it in behind me over here.
Yeah.
A
That's
picture
it.
of me there.
Yeah.
I framed that, and there's my ticket there, his business card. He gave me his first business card as a kid, so that's the whole David Copperfield experience right there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the excursion, he goes, "You know what, Art? Where are you staying?" And I said, "I'm staying at the MGM Grand." He goes,
Mm.
"Arthur, that's where I live." And I said, "Yeah, I know, David. You live on the top floor." He has the whole floor.
Yeah.
He goes, "You know what? Let's not wait for a limo. Get in my car. I'll drive you back to the hotel." I said, "I'd love that, David. That'd be amazing."
Yeah.
So I'm driving on the Las Vegas Strip with David Copperfield, but at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody in the world on the
Yeah.
street that could see me with
See.
David Copperfield. So, and again, I didn't take any pictures while we are in the car or anything, but it was
Mm.
really surreal for him to throw names at me in the car that we
Yeah.
had mutual friends in Toronto, because the magic circle, I guess, is a smaller circle of people.
Yeah.
And he actually knew same people I knew. He knew Morrissey Magic, Morrissey Magic. He was a big magician, and he knew him. He knew him very well. He knew Herb, and it was a great. It was surreal for me to know the same people that David Copperfield knows, right?
And you still didn't tell him you were a magician.
I at that point he
Oh,
knew.
at
I
that point
dabbled.
you
Yeah,
told
yeah.
her,
At that point,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and at
yeah,
that time it becomes like it's not like someone you looked up to anymore. It's like you're in the same field that you're a magician and he is. So it's like camaraderie, you know what I mean? And it's like you're having a good discussion. That's amazing.
sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yo, now tell me, you did magic for Shaq. I want you to summarize that story for me. So you did magic for Shaquille O'Neal. Do you remember the year and how it happened?
I don't remember the year. I
Mhm.
remember he was playing for the Miami Heat,
Mm.
and that'll be embedded in my head for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact year, but he had just gone to the Miami Heat. Um, a good friend of mine, who's no longer with us, but I can honestly say he was a really good friend. Not to me, but he was a good friend to everybody.
Yeah.
Tommy Garavelos.
Okay.
Uh, that man opened up a lot of doors for me.
Mm.
Uh, and when I mean doors, I mean he would turn the knob and walk me into these doors.
Oh wow.
And that's who Tommy was, and dearly missed, dearly loved. A
Mm.
lot of people can talk about this guy, and I can talk about him all day. That's who
Yeah.
Tommy Garavelos was, right? Um, but Tommy had a mutual friend, um, who is a very well known and respected guy in the city.
You could drop his
Uh,
name. You could drop. We both know him. Go ahead.
DJ Notorious Carlo.
Yes.
He's the man in the city for sure, and he knows a lot of people, and he's definitely family with Shaquille O'Neal.
Mm.
Uh, Now, Tommy could have taken any of his friends with him, but he knew that wherever I go, I have magic. I got magic in my pockets, and who better to do magic for than the biggest kid in the world, Shaquille O'Neal, right? The guy's like a kid at heart.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess DJ Carlos took him to a bar, and Tommy Garavello's my friend says, "Art, come and get me. We're going to a bar." I
Mm.
said, "Great, let's go to the bar." I walk in and I see these legs from one wall to another wall. Like these legs were so long, and I'm going, "Holy smokes!" And the guy stands up, and it's Shaquille O'Neal. Now
Mm.
Tommy knows I'm a big basketball fan. Tommy
Yeah.
knew that, and Tommy knows I have magic on me. So who better to bring on this excursion?
Mm.
Tommy goes up to Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaquille O'Neal hugs Tommy, and I'm like, "This is not happening. This is crazy." And then I put out, and I put up my hand to shake his hand because Tommy goes, "This is my cousin Art." And I put up my hand. Shaq swats my hand away, gives me a hug, and he goes, "A cousin of Tommy's is a cousin of mine."
Wow.
It was an amazing experience at this point.
Mm.
And then Tommy goes to Shaq, "Hey, Art's a magician." And Shaq looks down on me, of course, and he goes, "Hey, you do magic?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, Shaq, I do magic." He goes, "Come with me." I was in the back of that bar, just Shaq and I, one on one, nobody else around us,
Yeah.
and I'm doing magic for Mr. O'Neal. It was the greatest thing ever. Uh, but the best part, how did you do that? How did you do that? He kept on saying, "How did you do that?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Come on, Shaq, I can't. I can't do that. I can't tell you how to do that." He goes, "Oh, you're the same as David." And I'm thinking, wow, did he just compare me to David Blaine, who he's friends with? Like, that's a great comparison to
Yeah.
be even brought in the same conversation. But obviously, we know David Blaine is top magician out there.
Yeah.
But he's friends with Shaq, and it was great for him just to bring it up. "Oh, you're the same as David. You don't tell me nothing."
Yeah.
So then what happened is Shaq goes, "Come on, let's go party."
Mm.
And I said, "Wherever you want to go, Shaq. Let's go. I'll follow you guys. I'm not gonna." So I got into my car, which
Mm.
was this is key point here,
Mm.
is a Hyundai Santa Fe.
Okay.
Okay, we got
Mm.
to make a note of the Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Obviously, Shaq got into the Hummer with Notorious Carlo, DJ Carlo there.
Mm.
They got into the Hummer, and I followed them to a club called Boudot at the time.
Mm.
Called Boudot. And we walked into the club. When you walk into any place, let alone a club, with Shaquille O'Neal, it's like the sea parts, and you're walking into a club like you're this guy, you're Shaq's guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was amazing. Just a club experience I'll never live again. You can't. Literally, you're dealing with ballers here, right? These are ballers.
Yeah.
But it was just so much happened that night. We could probably do a separate podcast for just what happened that night. But I was sitting against the wall, leaning up against the wall, and what happened is I'm watching. Chris Bosh walked in.
Mm.
Then all of a sudden, the rest of the Miami Heat walk in. Dwayne Wade,
Okay.
Shannon Anderson, Udonis Haslam, uh, the whole Miami Heat. They're just
Mm.
walking in. I'm going, this is crazy. My head's going back and forth, thinking this is nuts.
Mm.
And they all just did their own thing. And these guys they live an extravagant life. They live a busy life, and we'll say they live a very good life. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, get in there, and I'm just soaking it all in, and I was introduced to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade came up to me and goes, "Hey, I hear you're Tommy's friend." And I said, "Yeah, Dwayne, pleasure to meet you." He went and did his thing. And then it was maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And Shaq actually came and put his arm around me and said, "Hey, let's go eat." Yeah. I go, "Shaq, yeah, let's go eat." But again, he only knew me as Tommy's boy there.
Mm.
Uh, so what happened is now again, when I say that, when I was standing with Shaq, I was looking down on the rest of the people. We're up in the VIP. We're looking down on the rest of the crowd that was all around, and that's another key point. Okay, because I got to bring up that later on.
Yeah.
So then we started going to the car, and Shaq's an amazing guy. Starts signing autographs for everybody outside, talks to his fans. He's a solid human being.
Mm.
He would never let down his fans, right? And I going back to my car now. I sat in my Hyundai Santa
Santa
Fe.
Fe. Yep.
I'm waiting there, and I'm just again soaking it in. Shaq signing autographs, and DJ Carlos is in the car waiting for Shaq to come in because we're ready to drive off. And I get a knock on my window, and I roll down my window, and a guy puts his head sideways, and Dwayne Wade says, "Shaq said I can hitch a ride with you." And I said, "Sure, D Wade, jump in my car."
Yeah.
He opens my passenger seat, so I got Dwayne Wade sitting in my passenger seat, and then my back door's open. My back door's open. Udonis Haslam, Shannon Anderson, and Tommy Garavelos sitting in my Hyundai Santa Fe. So I'm driving, and again, at this point, you're doing the math now. You're doing the math saying there's millions of dollars sitting in my $20,000 car. Like,
Yeah.
you can't come up with these stories. You can't even think of this.
Yeah.
But key point again, I never took any pictures.
Mm.
Never pulled out my cell phone. Never did anything to make these guys think that I was like a crazy fan,
Mm.
right? And the reason I say that is I didn't pull out my cell phone, meaning I never called my wife at home.
Yeah.
Never called her to let her know where I was, what I was doing. And you can imagine now she's getting all worried at home. Where's Art? At the end of, we went to eat. We went to eat at, if you know, it's called George's Chicken, which was one of Shaq's favorite chicken places.
Mm.
We went there. George's Chicken is still there today. It's still in business. They're still rocking there. And what happened is Dwayne Wade came up to me while I was outside and said, "Hey, can you drive us back to the hotel?" And I said, "Sure, D Wade, jump in my, Santa Fe,
Yeah.
if you guys are okay with that."
Yeah.
So I drove him back to the hotel, and that was my night after hanging out with these guys.
Yeah.
But going a little bit further back now is
Mhm.
when I got home. Jenny was saying, you can imagine the names she called me coming home at 8 o'clock in the morning the next
Yeah.
day without
Yeah.
a phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't blame her.
Of course.
And I said, Jen, even if I told you my story, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me. And she goes, whatever. She called me these names again, over and over again. And I said, Jen, I'm really tired. I'm going to go to bed now.
Yeah.
And she came home from work. And remember, I told you Shaq asked me, let's go eat on stage.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, when Jenny came home from work that day, I go, Jen, let me explain. She goes, you're so lucky that my friends from work saw you with Shaquille O'Neal in the
Oh
club.
my.
She goes,
Wow.
you're so lucky.
Yeah.
So you can't ask for a better alibi than
Yeah.
Shaquille. You know what I mean? So that was my story, and I something I'll never forget.
Can you show me a little bit of magic right now? I don't know. Can you do that?
As I said, magic has opened a lot of doors,
Mm.
and it always will. But here's what it does for us.
This is what I'm saying. You magicians, man. You magicians. Art, I already made up my mind right now. There's a lot of things I'm still working on with my podcast, right? I'm If you're okay with this, I'm gonna make an episode all the time called Story Time with Art because I believe you have a lot of stories that I want to hear, and it's kind of fun to share. But I think I'm gonna make that a staple, man. Story Time with Art.
For sure.
Season 9 coming. All right. Art, I know there's a lot of things to talk about. We're gonna save some of it for part 2. But one thing I want to get out the way right now is I bought a book and it has your name on it here. Oh, and it has Jenny's too. Let's spend the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes before we wrap it up talking about your book. Why did you write it and what is it called? I know because that's right here. But let me know about the book.
So the book is a story that a lot of people always wanted to know about my story. And we'll obviously we'll get into that story eventually. Um, but Jenny goes, Art, why don't we put a book together and let the world know your story, and then um, let them know exactly what happened. And I said, let's do it. And my story can only be so many chapters.
Mhm.
So we said, let's use our real estate careers, because Jenny's my partner in real estate.
Mhm.
She's also a real estate agent. Um, she wanted to implement how real estate some way helped us get through um, the whole process of what I went through, how it helped us survive. So Real estate was a tool that we obviously utilized, be it refinancing, pulling money out of your house, doing what you got to do to get the cash to survive.
Mm.
So we put a little bit of real estate along with my story that happened to me, and we came up with this book called Life Happens.
Chapter 1 to 4 is about refinancing, getting that liquid cash and investing probably in real estate. But chapter 5 starts with something different.
Correct. Chapter 5 is the story about art. How COVID got me. COVID changed my life, and it really did a number on me. But I do want to say the year of 2021 will be a year that we just never forget.
That's going to be part 2. All right, the last thing we're going to do for Real Talk with Star Scorpio is the Real Talk question. So let me know what you want me to read out. The Star Scorpio question, the Blue Jays or the Raptors?
Let's do the Raptors.
Of course, of course. Oh my gosh. Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.